to have with me now Astrid Longhurst, one of our guest speakers for the True Spirituality Summit. It's been a few weeks in the making, and I am I feel so blessed that all these wonderful speakers have agreed to speak with us. So Astrid, thank you. And would you like to maybe do a very brief introduction about what you do and who you are, and then I'll get started with the questions. I'm just checking that we're going live right now. Yes, I can see that now.
Oh, wow.
Right, over to you.
Oh, well, look, Ange, thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me. I've been so excited, so looking forward to speaking with you. And what an amazing topic, you know, what amazing speakers. You're amazing, just to be able to put this together and all these people to come together in one place. So, yes, so thank you, firstly, for including me in that. I'm very appreciative of it. And yes, so my background was originally as a dancer, and I love to dance. I love to express my energy, and I love the feeling that movement gave me. And then as I moved through my life and all of the changes that happened, I was very interested in becoming, I wanted to know about this mind, body, spirit connection. And that really led me into the work that I do today. So I'm a body confidence expert. I'm an author. My latest book is called Romancing Your Body, because it's all about loving who we are and knowing that our body is so much more than just a physical experience, you know. So, and I also train and teach students to become certified body confidence and well-being coaches. And that's such a passion, because we need people who know how to help other people just not only feel good about themselves in their life, but also not to hold back in their lives anymore. And I think that's sort of, I think like us all, what we do often comes from our own story and our own experience. So yes, so I teach workshops, I do one-to-one coaching, I teach my lovely Institute for Body Confidence coaching course with my students, and teach dance and movement and how to help people come into their bodies. You know, so often we're so disconnected from our bodies, or we judge them or criticize them. And once we know how to really fully connect with ourselves, life just opens up in a very different way. So I think that's sort of a nutshell sort of idea or explanation, if it makes sense.
That is wonderful and exactly, you know, spot on. And that's also why I wanted you on the summit, because I feel there's always been this disconnect, at least in the way I was brought up, between the body and the spiritual, the body and the religious. So my first question to you is, did you grow up in a specific religious background? And if so, which one?
Yeah, great question. And it's interesting because although my mother she would say that she would have been Church of England, we never went to church. And although my family there's different religious backgrounds in the rest of my family, from Baptist to Catholic, but my mum stopped going to church. And the reason was because my dad died when I was very young, and my mother simply couldn't go back into a church. She was so upset and so distraught at the loss of her husband that, you know, everything kind of stopped for her. I remember once asking her about why she didn't go, and she couldn't really give me an answer. She just said, you know, I think she was still angry. I think she was carrying a lot of anger of, you know, and questions around why her beloved husband died and left her with 2 small children to bring up. So I think it was a very, very hard time. But I do remember very small snippets of going to church. I remember an old aunt once or twice said, look, we need to get Astrid into church. We need to give her this experience. And I remember she took me to church a couple of times. And I was very young. And I think I didn't really know what it was all about, because I didn't really have that ongoing experience of it, because my mum obviously was like, well, you know, you can take Astrid to church if you want to, she can go if she wants to, but my mum wasn't. So from the background, my mum was like, it's up to you. But I do remember feeling quite confused when I was very little, because I was so little, and sort of looking around and thinking, what does all this mean? And then later on in my life, when I remember at school, when we did religious education, I loved it. There was this, I was so interested in what other religions did, how they operated, what were the rituals, what were the belief systems. So it was very strange, I think very strange with regards to the religious upbringing. I do remember, Ange, there was one time I remember I went to Sunday school, and I was really excited about going to Sunday school. And so I went in, and this was my first time, and there was lots of children around the table. And the leader of the session that we did, I remember that he asked me a question that I simply couldn't answer. So I must have been about 7. And he said, right, we're going to go around the table and ask everybody this same question. So he said to me, okay, what is someone that God loves beginning with A? So I was baffled. I remember sitting there going, I don't know. And he said, well, I'll ask you again. So what is someone that God loves beginning with A? Or who is someone that God loves beginning with A? And do you know, Ange, for the life of me, I remember at 7 years old feeling so uncomfortable. And I thought, I don't know. And I remember a couple of the children across were started to giggle. And I remember I just went bright red, and I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know. Is it my aunt? Does God love my aunt because she brought me to here? And he said, no, we're thinking of somebody different. I said, oh gosh, right. No, don't know. And he said, well, it's Astrid. God loves Astrid. And I remember just feeling so confused, because I was like, oh, does he? Why didn't I know that? And so there was a lot of confusion for me in those early days. And I don't think I actually went back to Sunday school after that, because of those feelings of now we're talking a very long time ago. This is, I'm 63 now, so we're talking a very long time ago for that experience. And yeah, I remember just feeling, I don't understand. And I think that was so much due to, obviously, my mum was like, lovely woman, but I think so deeply upset and so deeply hurt by what had happened in our life that she was, I can't do that. I remember she once said to me, no, I can't go to church, Astrid. You'll understand when you're older, but I can't do it. I'm too upset. And I remember at that time, she also stopped reading, which was very interesting. She just stopped doing a lot of things. So the religious background, long answer probably to your question.
No, I'm loving your answer, Astrid. And I think this is why I'm asking these questions, because I think it says so much about where we come from, where we go, how it shapes us. I love your candid answer. I can completely understand your mum's reaction, because I know my grandmother, when her husband died, my mother was 17, so she was much older than you were. But my grandmother stopped going to church altogether. She had never been welcomed, because she found out on her wedding day that she was marrying someone who was divorced, and she didn't know that. And we were Catholic, so that was a big shock for her.
Oh,
I had one small question for you. Were you brought up in the UK? And just a quick question, because I wasn't sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And I think
because in the UK, all the schools are Church of England, so you're exposed to religion from very, very young anyway.
Yes.
And that's a contrast for me. I've moved to the UK in 2001. My children started going to school in that year, and in France, school and the state are separate from the church, so you never hear about religion in school. I know it's quite a different background, isn't it?
It really is.
Yes, and so religion's supposed to be a private topic. You learn about it in your own good time, but what you do learn is philosophy and ethics and all that instead of religion.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yes.
So were you encouraged to think effectively or to question?
Yes, it was much more about ethics,
right.
questioning morals, great philosophers, things like that. But on some level, I felt we missed out on religious to understand other people's culture and religion, because of course there's more than one religion in France, and Islam is becoming one of the main religions in France, as it is in many other countries in Europe. So I did like the idea of what happened in the UK, but at the same time, you can't avoid religion wherever you go in school, and I find that a little bit too much, maybe because that means that for children who are not actually Church of England, and there's not really a school system where religion is not taught, or for kids who are not Church of England, unless you go to another denominational school, if you know what I mean. So I think it's kind of nice to talk about this as a background to highlight all the different ways that each country approaches, I suppose, religion and spirituality.
Yes, lovely, lovely. And I think for me, what it did was it started me on a search. I started looking, and I think like many people do, they start to look, and I think that's getting younger and younger. You know, there's a sense of, oh, I'm curious. I would have loved that kind of, I would have loved that idea of opening up questions for, you know, looking at philosophy and exploring that, which, you know, we didn't really have very much of. We just learnt about what is done here in this religion, what is done here, what is done here. But I did enjoy those classes, and I remember getting top marks in those classes because I was, oh, that's fascinating. And I think it's because it was that precursor to, you know, I love people. I'm very interested in people, which is probably quite good as my work as a coach. But I'm fascinated. What makes us tick? What makes one person do one thing and one person do another? How do we live our best lives? So these were questions that perhaps started to take me on the search, because I was confused at the beginning. You know, I was sort of, I don't understand all of this as a very young child. Oh, it's fascinating, isn't it?
Oh, I could talk about it for hours. And actually, my highest grades were in philosophy. I had almost top marks, 19 out of 20, which is almost impossible in France in philosophy.
Oh my
Looking
goodness.
back, I find that really interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
I have 4 more questions for you.
Okay.
What made you sign up for the True Spirituality Summit? And it's more interesting even to ask you this question than my other speakers, because I knew all of the other speakers beforehand, whereas you're the only one whom I reached out to, and you knew nothing about me really, did you?
No, but there was something in that. There was something in about talking about spirituality. And I hadn't done that overtly before. My journey was very much centered around the body and the physicality of ourselves. And as I've gone through my life, and what I teach now is we can't just have it to be about the body. There was such a great learning for me that this is not just about how we look. This is about how we feel. This is about how we relate to our own bodies. This is a relationship that we need to cultivate in our lives. And as I searched and learned and studied more and more in my own life, because I would have always been very super critical of myself. I would have been very hard on me, very tough, very expecting a lot out of me, very critical of my body, critical of me, always having that background thought of, I'm not good enough. I'm not okay as I am. And as I started to go on my own journey, the spirituality part became more and more important, because I realized, hold on a minute. My body is this beautiful vessel for creating the things that I love in my life. It's this beautiful vehicle whereby I can reach out and I can help somebody else. We can connect. So these questions started to come up within me. And I think that's what was really intriguing for your summit. It was, how do we pull this all together from all of your lovely different speakers with their different backgrounds, and including you with your beautiful different background? We all come together, and yet there's a common theme. You know, we've all come from this, and the people watching, you know, we've all come from this different place, our different stories in our life, but there's a common theme that runs through it all. And that's what ignites me and excites me, I suppose. And this sense of, oh, we are so much more than our physical form. And once I got that, my own healing journey really began. You know, I started to become kinder to myself. I was kinder to other people. I was more compassionate. I started to look at my body, not with the eyes of critical teenager or somebody who's judging myself. I started to look at my body with gratitude. I started to look at me and all of the things that my body's been through in my life. And I started to say, thank you. I appreciate you so much. And that for me was very spiritual. It was, I don't know whether that makes sense, because sometimes we think that spirituality is not connected to the body. But for me, when I dance, when I teach, when I move, that's when I feel the most spiritual. It's that sense of connection with something so much greater than me. And and even now, I don't fully understand what that is, but I also trust it. I trust how I feel. I trust my instincts, my intuition. I've learned how to do that, and I'm still learning, but I trust that. And I never knew how to do that when I was growing up. You know, I was always looking for external validation. Am I okay? Is that all right? Am I good enough? Have I done this all right? And of course, you know, I think one of the beauties about the summit is that we connect on this level of saying, what's right for you? What feels right? And I teach people how to connect with their bodies, how to follow their energy, how to be aware of what their thoughts are doing, and then gently and very kindly to be able to challenge where we are thinking in a way that limits us. And I love it, Ange. It's my passion. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. And I hope I always will be. I certainly don't have all the answers. I only really have my answers. But I would say, I think my struggles with my body, I think that was what really led me to this world of, wow, there is something more than just my physical form. And I think that was born out of a lot of pain, a lot of struggle, a lot of illness. So I think that's where I'm, wow, it's kind of like, goodness, only my body could have taught me more about spirituality and how that manifests in my own life.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Absolutely. In a way, you've just confirmed why you're so perfect for this summit in your own words. That leads me very nicely into the next question, which is, why do you care so much about promoting individuality within spirituality? Exactly that. Exactly that. It's because we are individuals and we have to follow our own path. You know, it was funny, Ange, because I remember many years ago, I was presenting a dance and self-love workshop at the Mind Body Spirit Festival in London. Now we're talking again a long time ago. So I had my music on and we were dancing, and all different shapes, sizes, ages, and abilities. You know, we were just loving the music and dancing and feeling good. And it was, you know, I was just felt like I was flying. You know, we're all together doing it. There was no judgment. There was just this wonderful energy of, here we are, and we're just going to enjoy this moment. And I remember at the end of my workshop, this chap came across to me from one of the spiritual stalls that were also in the arena. And he came across and he was sort of looked a bit sort of down, I suppose. And he said, I'm from this spiritual stall over here. And I said, oh, lovely, you know, nice to meet you. And he said, yes, he said, you've got far too much energy to be spiritual. Sorry, I have to laugh about this. What did he get this from? I don't know. It was a long time ago, I would say that. Okay, yeah, but still. He said, you're too noisy. He said, you know, you should come over and visit our stall because, you know, he said, do you meditate? I said, actually, I do. And I find movement and gentle movement a great form of meditation. Yes. But he said, do you meditate? Are you quiet? I said, of course I'm quiet. He said, well, the dancing that you're teaching is not spiritual. And honestly, I at the time, I actually didn't know what to say. I was so shocked. And I think I just said, well, thank you for your
opinion. I said, my movement and my dancing is probably the most that I have ever felt connected to this energy and power and joy and love that I've ever felt in my life before. But his whole thing was, you should be like us and be much quieter, because really spiritual people are quiet. So it shocked me. And I remember I was kind of reeling from that for days. And I think that's, to answer your question, I think that's why we have to follow our own paths. We have to have and express our own individuality in the way that feels right for us. There is no one size fits all. And I've really learned that in my life. What works for me may not work for somebody else. And isn't that okay? Isn't that beautiful that we've all got our own path? And I think the greatest joy, perhaps, is learning what that is and what it feels like, tastes like, looks like, moves like. And if we can, and for some people, it might be painting, it might be reading, it might be sewing, it might be going out walking in nature. So many people say, I walk in nature and I feel so connected. The breeze is blowing and my skin is warm and there's a sense of grandeur and beauty and trust. And I think we have to learn to follow those calls. We have to learn to not make them wrong, not make them like what somebody else wants us to do, but to learn to take them and explore them and look at them with kindness, not push them away, not try to be like somebody else. And I think if we can do that, perhaps there will be more inner joy in this world, more inner peace. I certainly have learnt that in my own life, and I trust it now. I trust that when I'm feeling contracted, I do a lot of embodiment work. So when I'm feeling like I'm contracted, I'm low, my breathing has stopped, I'm holding my breath about something, I trust my body's wisdom now, because I know that it's telling me something greater is going on here. There is either a rightness to what I'm going to go towards, or maybe I just need more time. I might need more time to think about, hold on, I need to feel into this a little bit more. I'm not sure this is the right path for me. And that's what I do. I feel into it more. I trust. So if my body is doing, I'm so excited, my heart is open, there's a movement in my arms, there's a sense of joy and feeling uplifted. I trust that. That's exciting. But if I'm not feeling that within my body, and I think this is where it's so exciting to use the body in spirituality.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Oh, to me, complete sense. And also because I teach people how to use their intuition. And for me, the intuition comes through the body. So being in tune with your body is incredibly important to actually listen to your intuition and understand it.
Yes.
So what you say makes complete sense. And I love it that, you're okay for this man to follow his own path of quiet spirituality, but that you give yourself permission to be loud and spiritual. And I think we should promote the summit like that, be loud, be quiet, and anything in between. There's no wrong answer. There's absolutely no wrong answer.
Yes, I love that. Be loud and spiritual. And the thing is, Ange, that's my energy. I realized that I can't shut that down. I did try for a long time.
And probably that didn't work very well and didn't serve you well at all. Yeah.
No, because I was just miserable. And and so that's, I should be much quieter and much more.
Oh, I'm so glad you don't do that anymore. Well, that leads nicely to the next question, which is maybe answered already. What is the one spiritual thing you would never do again? It's to turn yourself down, right?
I guess I can't tone myself down.
I'm so glad that you don't, Astrid. You're meant to be, loud and proud and bright, as bright as you can. I love it. I really love it.
Thank you, because I think that is the big thing. And I think so. And actually, I think so many of us do that. We kind of dim our light. We say, who am I to be bright, or who am I to share my passion with the world, or even just with a friend or your family? who am I to, be who I am? And I think, so often, many people are sort of like diminishing their own fabulousness, their own talents, because we're kind of trying to fit into an energy mold that is not us. And I wouldn't do that again. And it's funny because a lot of the time as well, I am very quiet. I love to be quiet. And I love solitude when I'm writing, for instance. So when I'm writing my books or my articles or a new course or something like that, I'm very quiet. When I do my own soul, I do sort of some soul, I call them soul stretches. So I do very gentle, long stretching program. And it's so quiet. And I think that's a natural quiet. That's part of me too. But I'm not going to shut down my energy again in order to be spiritual.
What a great answer. I just love it. All right, one more for you. What would you say to someone who's sitting on the fence about signing up for the summit?
Well, okay. Well, the first image that came to my mind was, please get off the fence because it's not comfortable. So,
okay, good one. I don't think it's a yes or a no, but stop sitting on the fence.
Just stop. Just practical. This is the body thing, you see. It's like, my body felt like, that would be, especially if it was a sort of spiky.
I know.
So I sort of, the first answer that bubbles up is, please get off the fence just for your own comfort, So
I love it.
The first step is just get off the fence and sit in a really lovely, comfy chair. So, and then what I would say is, feel into it. Put your hand over your heart. Ask the question. What would I love to receive out of this summit? And we've been talking about intuition. So the thing that comes up for me is that if you are watching this, then there is. So people generally find their ways to the right path. And that's that sense. More comfortable not to be on a fence, sit in a really comfy chair, connect with your wisdom, and then just see what happens, and then follow that, because that's what, for me, it's about. It's that authentic sense of self, and just saying, I've been watching these interviews, I've been joining in with these. For me, whenever I'm led to do something, there is always something more that is waiting for me. And so I just test into that, and I just look at receiving that call. And it may not come immediately, but just stay with it. There could be something there that you need to hear, or that you need, or somebody you need to connect with. And I believe in that, So I think, test in, follow your call. That's exactly what we've been talking about. Trust it. And then go towards it. So we find our answers that way. But I do think if you are watching this or interested in this, there is something already there that is happening in your life that maybe you don't know the reason why you're watching this at this time, but there is something. So I would always go towards that. If that felt, there's something here. Don't know what it is, but I'm just going to go towards it and say yes. But it has to feel right. I think that's the biggest thing.
Exactly. And if people were watching right now and it didn't feel right for them, I would say, don't do it. Yeah. Just because it's free, just because we're fabulous, you don't have to do it.
No. And you know what? I think, and just wait. Sometimes you need to wait. And you can always come back to it. There will always be another opportunity.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
Follow that energy, follow that. Don't block yourself off from it either. Be open to the I love this. I say to myself, I'm open to the possibility. That's nice.
That's a great one.
Yeah, I'm open to the possibility of this. And that tends to really resonate very well with me. And sort of, because I think sometimes we can be quite close. Well, I've in the past been really closed off to, oh, no, not doing that, not, you know, but now I'm going, I wonder, and I wonder is a lovely question you can ask. I wonder what I might gain from this. I wonder what I might learn. I wonder what this is. And be open to the possibility. Beautiful.
That is a great answer. Thank you, Astrid. I mean, I give you 20 out of 20. And I want to thank the people who are going to watch this, whether it's they've watched live or on the replay. Of course, the link to sign up to the summit is going to be either just above this video or just below. The summit goes live on Friday, the 7th of July, all day. Well, the interviews will be available for free for 7 days. And there'll be a Q&A on the 13th of July, 11:30 UK time, with all our gorgeous speakers for people who buy VIP tickets. So it's very, very exciting. Thank you again, Astrid, for your time, for your energy. It is, I just want to bask in your energy. And lucky me, I can do that every time I watch your replay. So I'm very, very fortunate. Plus, I have your book. So I'm going to get stuck into your book again. I think the summit's taken me away a little bit from your book, but I definitely want to finish reading it because it's so inspiring, and we'll add a link to your book in the on the platform so that people can buy it. Yeah, I know you've written more than one though, so if there's one in particular you want to promote on the platform, let me know when we finish this recording. And thank you to everyone who's watched this video. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you, Ange. Loved it. Loved every moment. Thank you. Bye-bye.